7 years ago, Lucy, my sweetheart, and I went to the Holy Land. I've been scheduled to go to the Holy Land on 2 previous occasions, but at the last minute, both trips were canceled. Pilgrimages were canceled because there was upset in the Middle East. So on those 2 trips, we went to the other Holy Land called England. It wasn't quite the same. But finally, 7 years ago, it all lined up and we were there. And it's one of those trips, you hear about this, it's one of those trips that it's a trip of a lifetime. To be in Jerusalem and to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and pilgrims have been going there since about the year 380. That's a long time. That's a lot of prayers. You know how you can walk into some places and you can feel the prayers? Can you feel that here? You can feel the prayers of the people who've been here. Lucy and I renewed our wedding vows at Cana. Like every couple needs to renew their vows every day, right? Amen? Anybody? I mean, really, come on. It's a daily deal. It's not like you sign up once and you're done, all right? Well, I can see we need a class around that. Okay. We're in the River Jordan. And there was another pastor there, and he said, "Baptize me." And I said, "You've been baptized." And he said, "I haven't been baptized enough." And into the waters we went, and then I went into the waters with him. And the Sea of Galilee. And you try to picture, it's right there. You can picture Peter and Andrew and James and John. They have their nets, and Jesus says, "Come and follow me." And they drop their nets and go. And then we came up on a little rise, and we read the Sermon of the Mount, greatest sermon of all time, being read. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who grieve. And as you hear those words, you know that Jesus is speaking into your heart right there, right then. There was one place that did not work at all. And it was surprising and disappointing. And it was Bethlehem. Bethlehem of all places. Now, the circumstances are not favorable. It's in Palestinian country, Palestinian occupied, and it's complicated. And every time you go from the border back and forth, it's tense. And you will see men in machine guns lined up, and they come on the bus. And we're a church group, and here they are, like this, coming on and off the bus. It kind of takes your breath away a little bit. So we pull up into the parking lot, and the guards, with their AK-47s or what they are, they're all lined up. It's not a holy moment. And there are about 30 buses in front of us. And then we see this, it was large. It didn't look like a stable, but it was completely covered with scaffolding. They were working on it. And you think, that's the Taj Mahal of all stables. What is going on here? And then you're huddled up into a queue with hundreds of others, and you're told constantly, move, 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 move. And what you want to do is stop, stop, stop. We go through this circuitous route, and we can tell that something special is happening up there. And when we finally get there, it's a star. It's called the Bethlehem Star on the floor, and that's supposed to mark the spot where Mary gave birth to Jesus. And there are some who want to kneel. There are some who want to kiss the spot. There's many of them crossing themselves. And then we're constantly move, move, move. It's hard to hold all that together. And as I'm emerging out of that, I'm thinking, why isn't this working for me? mean, not that it needs to work for me, but with almost every other place, felt like I was being drawn into the heart of God, but here it was not like that. Now, I made a mistake at that moment. There are vendors of holy things everywhere, and I made the mistake of engaging with one of them. That's on me. And it was an icon. It's called Christ Pantocrator. And it's about Christ holding the whole world in his hands. It is a very powerful image, and it reminds us that everything is in his hands. And it was a stunning image. And I'd actually been looking for one. And so I engaged with the person, and we arrive on what I thought was a fair price. And I asked him 3 times now, is this the price? And he said, yes. We get into the shop, and a 0 was added, and it was 10 times the amount. Yeah. And I didn't feel like Christ had his hands on the world. I felt like we'd all been dropped. I had to leave the party and get back on the bus and get my Bible. I usually travel with one. And I read the story sort of on the side of the parking lot. And I could tell I was making the guards kind of nervous, and I kept on holding it. It's just a Bible. It's not dangerous. But of course it is. And I read the story. And I read it again. And what I was reminded of is the star is not in Bethlehem. Come here, Robert. Let's try to think, who can I do this with? All right, I can do it with you. All right, let me show you the star. You want to see the star? Right here. Let's not lose track of the choir. They need star too. Right here. All right, there you go. All right, you got it? Yeah. Thank you. So where's the star? Right there. The amazing thing about Christmas is that we often think we need to go get God. We climb our ladders, we say our prayers, we do our confessions, we do all these things, and maybe if we get it exactly right, we're going to get God, and that's not the story. And there's no good news in that, because when we try to climb the ladder to get to God, what happens? We fall off the ladder, or we slip. Or I'll get a little step up. I'll get a little step up on that ladder, and I'll say, oh, man, God, look at me. I can look now down on Jeff. I'm picking on somebody else I can really... And that doesn't do us any good. Or we begin to feel like everybody's a little bit higher than we are, and that doesn't do us any good. The story of Christmas and the hope of Christmas is that God comes to us as a baby. It's not about us. It's about heaven coming to earth. And why would God come as a baby? Good question. Thank you for asking. I was kind of wondering, am I going to have anything left for Christmas Day? And a little bit. All right. God came as a baby because no other way worked. Matriarchs and patriarchs, the original dysfunctional family. Moses, who tried to duck away from God and give it away to somebody else. Joshua, the judges, the warrior women, the warrior men, the wise people, the unwise people, the prophets, the kings. It didn't work to bring us to God. So God said, all right, I got to come as one of them. And in and around the year 700 BC, there was an ancient prophecy from the prophet Isaiah that said, someday, I will come. I will come in a young woman, I will come in a virgin, and you shall know Emmanuel, which is God with us. Think about that. God with us. Anybody here ever been lost? I'm looking for hands because I know that everybody's been lost at some point. All right, well, thank you. All right, well, God, this crowd's getting loosened up here. All right. Emmanuel says, I will come find you. Anybody here ever had their heart broken? Emmanuel says, I will come and mend you and put back your shattered heart. Anybody here ever been in such grief you don't even know if you want to live? Emmanuel comes and says, I will walk with you and give you life again, even with a hole in your heart. Anybody here ever been just ashamed? You look at what you've done or not done, or what just flew out of your mouth to the person you love most in the world. Emmanuel says, I will come and forgive you, and that my grace covers all. What do we most need? All of us. Emmanuel. And that is the proclamation. And that is the promise. And that is the hope of this day. Thanks be to God. Amen.